What's up, chat? This is an embarrassing live stream. I didn't want to just leave just leave this one with y'all are here. So I didn't want to just leave this one without going live, but yeah. I was posting in the chat a little bit. First of all, I apologize. I got super sick this morning. So was on a little bit later than I expected. So I put together this live stream yesterday, at like midnight, I think. And I thought I had I was sent a whole boatload of rumors. And apparently I had put them in a document, and I guess there was like a server error or something. And I didn't notice it when I turned my computer off, but the whole document got axed. It doesn't exist anymore on my drive, and I don't know where it went. And now the original post, I think, is gone. So whatever that was is in the ether. I don't know where it is. So Zinch certainly has put his taloned fingers into whatever we're doing here, because I have very little to talk about, so that's good. Zinch as well, yeah, indeed. So that's what's going on. There is a Reddit post. There's a Reddit thread that talks about this. I think that this has been probably confirmed to not be correct. This was not the stuff that I was going to talk about, of which I only remember a very little. Last night was mostly kind of a haze of cough medicine for me. This one talks about like Cabal tokens being reworked, Magnus getting a Norcover aura, Gaze of Magnus getting a strength and AP buff, but if he doesn't have his hit and wound bonus, then it's kind of like a side grade. And his abilities are the same. Rubric Raidens gain Psychic on the Bolters. Flavors are separate data sheet. Now this has like been a rumor for ages, so I don't think that's particularly out there. Oh, excuse me, chat. I'm on my. Oh, somebody sent it to me. Chat. It has been archived elsewhere. All right, Ricochet from the Discord. You're a gentleman and a scholar. All right, we can talk about this. Yeah. So this was kind of. All right, here's the original post. What a lifesaver, my guy. Yay! Yeah, I don't know where that ended up. Let me fix my screen share here because it is cropped out of my pasty bin. All right, yeah, this is. I had this all edited and organized and stuff, but we'll go with this one for now. So this is what I was sent. And this one did the rounds, I guess, a little bit. Some apparently semi-verified Thousand Suns leaks. Now, all this stuff, obviously, enormous, huge, a huge, great heaping pile of salt. This is all mostly people just posting online. So obviously, all of it could be shit posts. But given the absolute dearth of information we've got on Thousand Suns, I think it's fun and cool to talk about. Well, worst case scenario, it gives us a little bit of speculation into the new codex. Whatever. Let's talk about what they got got going on. Zero picture of the actual codex. Yeah, that's the case for most of these, right? Like very few people get actual pictures of the codex. But we have had a pretty solid track record of leaks rumors being correct for the last couple of codexes. Emperor's Children Or not Emperor's Children. Death Guard, for example, we had a bunch of this stuff that come out and end up actually being correct. So I don't know. Obviously, who knows, right? But it's fun to talk about. Daitoso, these are yours. Also fairly sure that they are correct. Okay, well, sweet. That's rad. All right, neat. Also some grammatical errors. Yeah. So I had gone through and actually fixed some of these. I'd rewritten a lot of this just to be easier to read, but obviously that didn't save. So here we are. So here's the leaked army rule. You have Temporal Surge, Doom Bolt, something like a marked, like a black mark kind of effect. Rerolls against, like target a unit, get rerolls against it. And another one that it's probably cut off or whatever. And you may cast them either on a 2d6 roll, or you can take hits to roll 3d6. I don't know what the requirement would be. I assume like a 7 or something in order to get that off. It sounds like if you attempt to cast one of the psychic powers, it unlike a stratagem or something, it is you could attempt it again, which is actually kind of sick. That's obviously not how psychic powers worked in previous editions, but that was always a pet peeve that I had of them, because you just lost so much redundancy. So I don't know. I think I like that quite a bit. But the other thing too is that, like, if you have multiple psychers, which I assume it also includes like aspiring sorcerers inside the units or the character guys, you can attempt, if you have a power, like a really spell that you super need, you can attempt it multiple times with the little dudes, and then you can eat damage on a character to ensure you cast it sort of late in the chain, which means that it would be relatively consistent, which actually I kind of like. So still a great assault. It's been corroborated, but there's no images or anything. Yeah, understandable for sure. We probably won't be seeing any preview images or leaked images for the next couple of weeks for sure. Yeah, leaked the wrong book where Space Wolves leaks? Great question. Yeah, I don't know, man. I assume that you're gonna get Osa moment. How's that? We'll start with that. Yeah, this honestly sounds pretty neat. I like the idea that it's a little bit, it doesn't require you to mainline sorcerers quite as much. Obviously you get a benefit from taking more sorcerers, but in order to, like, so that you have more access to casting the spells to ensure that you get them off. But obviously it's definitely not entirely necessary. Let me see if I can oh man, the people are actively messaging me right now. Someone unnamed, but who that I know plays a lot and in pretty competitive circles, has just confirmed that the army roll is correct in my Discord. Okay. So this might be legit, chat. I don't know. And apparently additional information. Creative Salt's here, folks. This is an anonymous source texting me right now. You can roll 2d6 to cast, then take d3 mortal wounds to decide to roll a third. However, you take... Oh, no. Excuse me. You can roll 2d6 to cast, then decide to roll a third after rolling. If you roll any doubles or triple numbers of the dice, you take mortal wounds. So that's like a Perils of the Warp. Allegedly, according to my anonymous source today. This is, trust me, bro. Bolters are at go to AP2, so the Infernal Bolt Guns, and that is consistent with kind of the trend that we've been seeing through other factions. Maybe less so World Eaters, but stuff like Death Guard obviously have gone, like, their AP values and access to ignore cover have gone up pretty significantly. So gaining a +1 AP on bolt guns, I think, sounds probably pretty reasonable. Magnus gains +2 to cast the rituals. Now, I guess it doesn't say, but I assume that each Psyker can only make one attempt. I assume that Magnus can't just like burn through all your rituals. If he could, that would be amazing, because then you would have a really consistent guy to roll all the stuff in. But I don't know. Ahriman has +1 to cast and a redeployment special rule. So before the game begins, you can redeploy 3 units. Probably like some sort of webway theme, right? Because that's kind of his thing. Magnus can double cast according to chat. Okay, neat. Source said Flamers also AP2. Oh my god. Well, I wonder if they go to AP2 but they lose their rending effect. So like right in the current edition or the current version, the icon of flame gives you +1 AP if you roll a 6 to wound on your ranged attack. Which is, so they're like actually AP like 1.2, right? Just about. If they go to 2 but lose the rend, that's not quite like obviously it's an upgrade. I would especially argue that the bolters probably deserve an upgrade because they're not very good right now. AP1 turns out is basically just AP0 with extra steps. But I could see it. I think with the trend of the new codexes becoming extra lethal, I think that does sort of make sense. All right, so allegedly, for the army rule, allegedly, there are warp charge values for the special spells. You can roll a lower number for a lesser effect, or a higher number if you roll a higher. You get a bigger effect if you roll a higher number. If you roll the second value, the higher number. I guess the last thing is the last psychic power is Twist of Fate, which is AP bonus. So Doombolt starts at D3 wounds, gets an extra 3 if you roll a big number, so D3 plus 3 wounds potentially. Warp Surge or Temporal Surge, I guess, is a move D6, but if you roll a big number, you move flat 6. That's sad. That's pretty slow. The full Oath of Moment one is reroll 1s against a single target. Full rerolls if you roll a big warp charge number. So D3 or D3 plus 3 mortal wounds. Move D6 or move 6. Reroll 1s or full rerolls against a target. And either +1 or +2 AP from Twist of Fate. Are what I have been told just now as I'm reading this currently. Which is sweet. Apparently, and then Magnus can cast 2 spells at +2. So assuming that like the number to get them off is like a 6 or a 7 probably, and then the number to get a big result is like probably a 8 or 9. Magnus becomes like a really consistent guy, which actually seems great. So nerfed, but is cheaper. The other leaks that we just looked at said that potentially he has an ignore cover aura, and he like loses his +1 to hit and wound, which would be nerf. But if he's cheaper and he's a really, really consistent source of your Cabalistic Rituals, I'm like, it's maybe a fine. If you can't move him like 40 inches, he's significantly less powerful, but I don't know. We'll see. We'll see, folks. Copy into a notepad and update it. Yeah, I can do that. Actually, we're on a paste bin right now, so I can just throw it in there. Boop. And make sure this works okay. In sec chat, I'm just gonna verify that it like copies what I want it to. All right, neat. All right, here's the updated version. We'll click save real quick so I don't lose it. Let's see. All right, we talked a little bit about Ahriman. Thousand Sun Sorcerer has a plus D3 attack and strength once per battle ability. So the regular Sorcerer, I imagine that affects his gun, his psychic weapons. I imagine. But I don't know. Exalted Sorcerer retains his regeneration effect, so he revives bodyguard models. Winged Daemon Princes have a 6-inch deep strike and conditionally charge out of deep strike. That's actually sick. They used to do a mortal wound when they flew over you, I think. If they retain some sort of mortal wound effects, it's actually really strong. 6-inch deep strike with no hoops to jump through, like you just do it, is always obviously really good. You know, obviously Chaos Demons are aware. But makes them an incredible disruption piece, so that's actually cool. If their damage output is okay, and obviously we've seen like the Emperor's Children ones have relatively low damage output but do mortal wounds elsewhere, it might be that we see a similar thing out of these ones. We'll see. Or like either mortal wounds somewhere, or they just have an enhanced melee profile, which is kind of what the Death Guard and the World Eaters ones have, which is that they don't have really any extra punch, but they just have better melee attacks. Foot Demon Prince keeps the Glamour Aura, so that's stealth. Has a casting buff and gains lone operative, just like the other Demon Princes do, which is neat. That's obviously cool. Sekhetar is the new model name. Yeah, Sekhetar is the new Robot Boys. That's what these guys are. So apparently they have a flamer plus a Hellfire missile rack, either a claw or melta. That's interesting. Hellfire has blast now. They hit on a 4+, which is awkward. I was under the impression that they had a las cannon. Oops, excuse me, chat. I took a look at a picture and I got a video. But I guess according to this, maybe not. Apparently, that's a melta gun. That doesn't sound right. So I guess it just doesn't say. But I assume that the big gun is a las cannon. It looks kind of like a Reaper autocannon, but I thought that they had discussed it being las cannon. Now that I look at it, it does have the piping, so it could be like a big Inferno Flamer. Because it does have like the bird head, which is what sort of the other ones do. And then this is a melta gun. It doesn't really look like a melta gun. But I guess I could see it maybe. But according to this, they're potentially infiltrating heavy flamers, which is pretty interesting. I feel like that maybe to some extent eats into the design space of Rubric Marines, but I don't know. This is a flamer? Okay. Well, I guess I was misled previously there, chats. I thought these guys would be like long range guys, but I guess they're close range guys. Flamer plus Melta plus a Hellfire missile rack is a lot of shooting. It's Twin Link Flamer as well. And then they start up close and personal to you, so they can like burn down utility units on turn 1. That actually is kind of cool. The bird heads are meant to be bayonets. Poke them. So we call them the Xandroids. That's very good too. I very much like that. So interesting. That kind of totally recontextualizes these guys for me. I guess I just totally didn't really understand what they were doing. I thought they were going to be a gun battery, but I guess they're going to be like kind of a combat unit. That's actually sweet. That's something that Thousand Suns doesn't do particularly well. And then also they get Hellfire missiles as well. That's super cool. Infiltrate with a -1 to hit ability, potentially stealth. Already good for this unit that's going to be up close and personal. If they hit on 4s, it doesn't matter so much if most of their weapons are torrents. I guess I don't understand. I guess I don't really know what their like defensive profile is gonna look like, because apparently they're like a 40 mil base guy, right? Who's relatively big. It seems like they're probably gonna have an above average defensive profile, right? Because they're like a big robot guy. So like a T6, you know, like 3+ or 2+, 4+ or something like that. Seems pretty reasonable. If they have a boatload of wounds and they're like a Centurion, then they could be very difficult to deal with in the center of the table. And that's like a very unique style of infiltrating unit. We haven't really seen that before. Like this like very low model count, but like very high impact infiltrator. They're probably relatively slow as well. 3+ with a 5+ and 4 wounds. I wonder what the toughness characteristic is, because I could see these guys being anywhere from toughness 5 to toughness 7, depending. No way they're slow. Yeah, but it's Thousand Suns, right? Thousand Suns is like typically kind of the slow and purposeful action. Everybody's a little bit slow. You toughness 5 to 6. Yeah, so that's like, it's not easy to remove. And they are pretty scary when they're up close to you. Seems like a flamer plus a melee punch is like kind of neat. The Hellfire missiles on a low ballistic skill unit's kind of interesting, but it's like it's a nice addition, right? You're not upset to have more shooting, for sure. All right, I have been told the birds, the Tzeentch birds, have spoken. Apparently, it's either heavy flamer, probably the twin linked, I imagine. So strength 5 AP1, maybe AP2 if it's an Inferno weapon. Plus a strength 10 meltagun. So it's not quite a meltagun, it's a little bit better. 4+ weapon skill, ballistic skill, infiltrate, 4 wounds, T6, 3+, 5+ invulnerable save, 40 points of model. Is what I have been told. Their special role is free Overwatch. Is it duplicated Overwatch? That's my question. Whoa, that's wild. That's actually super duper sick. Let me put all this information into this thing. And then I'll share this document afterwards after I've made my additions here. We don't need this. We don't need this. So nothing about the -1 to hit thing, huh? I'm gonna sneeze for a second here, chat. Excuse me. Save. That's really cool. Those are that unit. They're Terminator replacements. No, I think that they're different because you can't take them in bricks like you can with Terminators, right? You only get 4, but they infiltrate. And they're easier to kill, I think, right? A 2+, 4+ versus a 4 wounds, 3+, 5+. I guess it's like a side grade, right? Our toughness is higher, but their saves are lower. Like, I don't know. But they infiltrate and they have like short range weapons, right? Whereas the Scarab Occults are more shooting oriented. You can take them in big bricks and you can dump like buffs on them. These guys are like a skirmisher, early game skirmisher kind of unit. Free Overwatch is actually sweet though. That is actually nuts. with 4 twin linked heavy flamers. Okay. Sounds good, my guy. Plus a bunch of blast weapons. Yeah, I definitely see that could be very neat. They're infiltrating shooty 8-bound, yeah. I doubt that they're as good in melee as 8-bound for sure, but they're definitely alongside the gunshots, it's gonna be sweet. All right, some talk about Magnus as well. So I think we discussed that Icons of Flame give ignore cover. So the Magnus ignore cover thing, I guess, is maybe hot air. Here's what we have for Magnus's changes. Boop. He costs 420 blazes. Like the Silent King. Ba-ba-da-ba-da. So Magnus, this blast. So I guess he just has. He doesn't give ignore cover. He just has ignore cover on his firestorm, which does make sense. It is a firestorm. So strength 11, AP 2, damage 3, dev wounds on the gaze. The other gun is strength 6, AP 1, ignore cover, 2 damage. He has 2 damage sweeps, and he's at 420 points right now. What is Magnus at currently? 465? That's what he was for a while. If he loses his +1 to hit and wound aura, which I think honestly he should, 420 does feel, yeah, he's 465 currently. 420 does feel a little bit expensive, but obviously he's like a very different unit, right? Because he's like casting your rituals instead of doing your other stuff. So he kind of alleviates a lot of the work from the rest of your team. All right. Scarab Occult Terminators, as we've talked about previously, the Hellfire Missile Rex of Blast. What a time to be alive. The rest of the team went up a movement. So Rubric Marine's up to 6-inch movement. It's a fucking cat, chat. She's so grabby. Tzaangors apparently have an up down. They have guerrilla tactics like Space Marine Scouts, which is sick. Enlightened, Tzaangor Enlightened, split into 2 data sheets. I guess theoretically, like the Rubric Marines, this doesn't talk about the Rubric Marines data sheet splitting, so I don't know if that's going to happen, but we will see. I suppose. It definitely would flesh out the Codex a little bit. Apparently, the Spear Enlightened do mortal wounds on the charge. I actually really liked the Spear Enlightened. When I played them for a couple of events where I forgot to switch them to bows, and then I think I actually stuck with it. Because they would kill like medium stuff on 2s. Which was pretty big. The problem is that they had a 4+ weapon skill, which sucked really hard. Which is like kind of obnoxious. Oh, great. Thanks, Wikipedia. Thank you for that advertising. Which is really awkward, but they were AP2 lance. So unlike the bow, which was AP1, it didn't ignore cover. It was 2 damage, which was better, but they would wound like on 4s or 2s for the most part if you're charging like utility stuff, which definitely felt pretty good. I don't think that their attack profile really mattered that much because you took them for utility. But if they do impact mortals on the Spear Enlightened, they actually might be a nice little counterattack unit. If they're not super expensive, and maybe if they get the infantry keyword, which I would love, then they could be really useful. I don't know. They kind of hype for that unit. Yeah, bow's precision and lethal hits, but like precision's basically not even a keyword. Precision might as well not exist on a data sheet. For the most part, it's kind of a downgrade because it makes you decide whether or not you want to use it. Bowmen get a reactive fallback, so probably I imagine it's like the same rule that they have right now, the D6 move in response to enemies moving, which is good for a utility unit. It's awkward right now because they're not infantry currently, so you can't use it to get behind line of sight blockers very easily. So if they go to jump infantry, which I think that they should, then obviously these units are both going to be, I think, pretty good, but the bowmen end up being good for utility stuff. Tzaangors, it seems like as well, are phenomenal. Section scouters are always great, but also like actual scouts is good too. So good utility unit there. So you're super solid. Rhinos have an ability to tag a unit, either +1 to hit and wound a unit or rerolls. So like maybe fire support. So I'm wondering if Rubric Marines maybe change a little bit here. It seems like it's kind of like Death Guard. It feels like a little Death Guard right now, at least in this document, where so much stuff has access to rerolls, right? You can cast rerolls on a unit. You can get it with a Rhino. You can get it with probably stratagems and stuff. It would be interesting to me if Rubric Marines retained their ability to reroll targeting enemies and objectives, because they would feel a little superfluous if Rhinos also had fire support. Get rerolls two different ways, I guess. But if the Thousand Suns Rhino, just like the Death Guard Rhino, also gains fire support, it's gonna be crazy. It's gonna be crazy time. Because those now apparently AP2 Warflamers, which could potentially be up to AP4, are full rerolls also. Wild. What a time to be alive. Give Rubrics melee. So, I'm going to cough real quick, chat. I'm losing my voice, excuse me. I guess the Sorcerer is kind of like a Chaos Lord dude. So here's what I've been told. His gun is flat 6 attacks now. So previously it was 2d6 sustain 3. Now it's flat 6 sustain 3. So it's not quite as random. You don't have the opportunity where you roll like 30 attacks by accidentally rolling a 12 into a bunch of 6s. But his once per game, so kind of like the normal, the regular Chaos Lord, right? Like a finest hour ability, where like when you're selected to fight, add a bunch of extra stuff. Apparently, this guy can do it on his ranged attack as well. Whatever weapon you choose to buff gains +3 attacks and strength. So he would go to 9 attacks. I don't know what the strength is. Previously it was strength 5, so it probably stays at strength 5. So it'd be 9 attacks, strength 8, sustain 3. Let's put that one on here. On this thing. Bloop. It just moved me. Save. Apparently Rubrics keep their rerolls. Rhinos gain +1 or grant +1 to hit and wound. They have a fire support effect. Where the Rhino at? Rhino. So apparently, their fire support ability is +1 to hit and wound for psychic weapons only. So they're the source of like Magnus's buff for the units that were embarked. Which obviously, when you're talking about like a 9-shot strength 8 gun or whatever, is probably going to be pretty significant. And then also potentially rerolling. So that's actually like kind of nuts, to be honest. Thank God they didn't give Ultramarines the crazy Rhinos. Yeah, for sure. If we retain like the stratagem to make bolters psychic, which I imagine that we do, an entire unit of rubrics that anywhere on the table can jump out with, if their like double shot thing is real, they shoot like between 20 and 40 times, right? +1 to hit and wound. And you could get rerolls off of the psychic power. So you could like hop out of a Rhino, cast a psychic power on somebody. If you boss it, you get full rerolls. and then all your bonuses. So you're hitting on 2s, winning on at worst 5s, full rerolling. At AP 2, potentially ignore cover. It seems really good. But only if obviously that stuff survives. We'll talk about the detachments. Let's see. I'm sorry about my voice, chat. I am in the final throes of a cold, and so I'm like struggle bussing through. I was when I woke up this morning, unfortunately, pretty indisposed, but we rallied. So we have vehicle detachment. Vehicles get 1 dice of 1 per phase, like the old Knight's ability. Okay. I mean, it's better than nothing. But it improves to 1 dice of anything and explode on 5s. That's a downside. Wait, really? It actually makes your army worse. So it's the old Knight's ability, the old Laylo the Tyrants, but it turns into Iron Storm rerolls if you have a Psyker near you. But then also you kill the Psyker on a 5+, potentially. Okay. They have an enhancement for to make a guy a warpsmith, so he gets +1 to hit, gives +1 hit to vehicles, I imagine, and gets like lone operative when he's near them. Kind of like what we saw with the Lord of Virulence enhancement for Mortarian's Anvil. Like they have the same thing, where they can grant they can give the Tech Marine lone operative ability to a Lord of Virulence. So that's pretty cool. Stratagem for Sticky Mortals. So I imagine that's like the sabotaged objective that Vanguard Spearhead can do, where you take the objective, and then if your opponent moves onto it, they take D3 mortal wounds. And even though they retake the objective, they continuously take the mortal wounds if they keep moving. When explode on 5-ups means sustained hits? I doubt it. I don't think, now that we have sustained hits as the nomenclature, people don't really use exploding X's anymore. If it gave you sustained hits on critical 5s, that would be fucking nuts. This would be the silliest detachment. Like everybody just gets like enhanced criticals. It goes crazy. Mutant detachment. When attacking, you can take D3 damage to reroll saving throws with 1. When targeted. When attacking, you take D3 mortals to reroll wound rolls of 1. Make Tzaangors battle line and +1 OC, and have a strat for a 4+ invulnerable save. I assume on Tzaangors, but maybe anything. Who knows? I don't know. I guess I don't know necessarily if this affects everything. D3 damage to reroll saving throws of 1. I think it's like those are like kind of the same picture, so that's like a side grade. Reroll wound rolls of 1 on a D3 mortal wounds, I guess, is okay, but it only really works like on the stuff that doesn't have rerolls baked in, because like a Rubric Marine's gonna reroll ones anyway, so it doesn't really matter. It only matters for the Tzaangor stuff. So I don't know. That feels kind of not super great. It gives your Tzaangors +1 OC, and like we said, that they scout, so having a bunch of Tzaangors up at the middle of the table could be good. There is a Rubric Marine detachment. All is dust is the detachment rule, apparently. So that is... I'm going to cough again. I'm sorry. Clear my throat here, chat. Ooh, let me take a drink. So, for those who don't remember, that is +1 saving throw. It used to be +1 to your saving throws, which was funny because it's stacked with invulnerable save bonuses. But it was +1 to your saving throw against damage 1 weapons. The idea being that if you are pierced with a bullet, all it's hitting is sand. You have no vital organs, so it's very unlikely to kill you. They also have a stratagem to reduce damage by 1, which makes 2 damage weapons become affected by all his dust. Seems very good. That definitely seems great. Although I would say that the majority of 1 damage weapons outside melee attacks tend to be AP 0. But I guess if it is truly +1 save and not -1 to the armor penetration characteristic, then that is actually pretty good because it makes your save on 2s regardless of whether or not you're in cover. And then if you're in cover, you get through AP1, you still save on 2s. You have to become AP2 or AP1 ignore cover to actually get them to their base save, which is neat. I like that. Really hope that's only the Rhino is here, and it's not that Thousand Tons are only getting a Rhino. I mean, yeah, there's a bunch of stuff in here that has not been covered, right? All of the, most of the character sorcerers. We have Exalteds and regular sorcerers, but like Infernal Masters are somewhere. I don't know. We have the Index detachment, so Cults of Magic. Has the same rules as the Index, but the options other than Devastating Wounds seem to have been buffed. That's interesting. I wonder what they would do to buff them. So previously, it was lethal or sustained hits. You could improve criticals, potentially, or give like a stat improvement in addition. All options are once per game now, though. Oh, okay, fair enough. So you can't just like lock into Devastating Winds and call it good. Umbrella for Crystals and enhancement. Destined by Fate has been retained. So that is the, if I remember correctly, that's the turn a damage to 0 after you make your saving throw targeting a Psychers. So that's really powerful. I guess the big question is, do we retain the Ensorcelled Infusion Devastating Sorcery like Wombo combo? That's going to be a big deal. But obviously, most of it is like based around, most of the current detachment is based around the current Cabalistic Ritual mechanic. So I imagine that a lot of those things would change. All right. Some of this stuff has been redefined. We will go into my edit mode. I've gotten some notes. I will put this thing about Rubric Marines in just so it's saved for posterity. Still have the same rerolls. So the mutant detachment apparently is here's what the ability is. It's not reroll saving throws of 1. It's take D3 mortal wounds for -1 to be wounded, which is much better. That makes much more sense. I don't know if the when attacking trigger is around. Apparently, it affects Tzaangors, Mutalith Vortex Beasts, and Chaos Spawn. Mutalith Vortex Beasts with -1 to be wounded actually seems sick, especially if they keep their Field Note Bane, so there's a chance that they don't take any mortals. That detachment actually might be legit as fuck. Holy shit. All right. Here's what we got for the Cult of Magic detachment, folks. I will do this. What were they called previously? Just something. So it's a choice between, so previously it was lethal hit, sustain 1, devastating on your psychic weapons. Now it's +1 to wound for psychic weapons, +6 inches of range for psychic weapons, or devastating. I think is the implication. There's a stratagem like Adaptive Strategy and Gladius to put a unit in one of the grant a unit one of these abilities for a turn. Otherwise, they're once per game. So it's basically it's Gladius Task Force, but for psychic weapons, which is pretty neat. Arcane Vortex is the same. So we retain the most legit weapon of all time. Emberlific Crystal is the same. So Lord of Forbidden Lore was the previously, first of all, at first it was unlimited rituals, then it became double ritual. Now it is you cast Doom Bolts twice, once per game for Exalted Sorcerers only. So pay some number of points to do D3 Mortal Wounds, maybe. That's not very good. Maybe it's okay. Maybe that's a 5-pointer or something. And then ta-da. We'll click save. Cool. All right. There is a demon detachment, which allows demons to cast the army rule spells. They gain the Cabalistic Rituals like the rest of the army. Double Doombolt is the best anti-vehicle. Yeah, I mean, it sounds like there will be other options. Yeah, Mutalist gonna slap. Yeah, it certainly seems like that's the Mutalist Vortex Beast attachment for sure. But also like OC2 Battleline Tzaangors is sweet, especially because they straight out reserve themselves and they scout. So like you can have mass numbers of high OC stuff. If there are any speed enhancements for Tzaangors, it's gonna be sweet. And also if any of this stuff like affects the Enlightened, because Enlightened could potentially be a really good disruption piece. Because at the time of recording, in the index version, they're OC2 baseline. I imagine they don't get the OC bonus. I imagine that's only for like the Tzaangor, like big units. But getting the ability of like -1 to be wounded and potentially being affected by the strats would also potentially make them really good for this detachment. So that mutant detachment actually seems like super legit. Hope Forge Fiends and Mauler Fiends get as good as Chaos Beast Marines or War Leaders. Yeah, I would love to see that as well. And if we see any like cool stuff in the vehicle detachment, that could be where they live. I have like a really 1,000 Suns Forge Fiend I've painted up. I'm very proud of. I played like one time. And I was like, oh, I might as well just have another sorcerer for this thing because he doesn't give Cabalistic Rituals. But obviously, if this ritual thing is correct, then I think that like you could get away with playing significantly fewer sorcerers, which I think is great. That's the idea, right? We want to be buffed by a couple of sorcerers. We don't want the entire army to be forced to be sorcerers to gain the effect of the army roll. And if we still see, I guess like it would be a question of whether Magnus is like does his thing. If Magnus has army support effects, which it seems like he probably won't, because like most of the new Primarch stuff is they all buff themselves. They don't buff their team, which is a little bit unfortunate for like a 400-point guy, but it is what it is. But we could potentially see him be like your source of rituals because he's more consistent at it, and then you can just take regular stuff for the rest of your army. So he's like a little bit of an investment to be more of a buff piece, which I think could be cool. Hope that taking Kairos will be viable. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, we'll see what the Demon Detachment does. They have to compete with the. I guess both the Nurgle and the. I guess all the Demon Detachments are really playable right now. Right? The Nurgle one seems legit. The Khorne one seems very good. Emperor's Children, Carnival of Excess is clearly strong. So it would be surprising if they didn't make it like pretty good. I don't know. All right. Some other quick notes here. Put this at the top, I guess. I'll put it here. And we'll put this into the rubric part. So some unit stuff. Can confirm Thousand Suns lose their cultists. All the cultists that I made for my Thousand Suns army are gone. But maybe we can use them as Tzaangors now, I guess. Which is unfortunate because the Thousand Suns cultist was really, really strong. That was like their source of CP generation. I hope they gain CP generation somewhere else. Maybe it's Infernal Masters, to be honest. Keep Forge Friends, Mauler Fiends, Defilers, both Predators. Don't know if they have special abilities though, which I imagine that they probably do because all of the other ones do. So I don't know. Seems like it would be how it works. Cultists didn't generate CP that much? I think you're playing them wrong then. You get a CP for every cultist that you get. Oh yeah, let's fix the unknown power while we're here. Somebody just pointed out in chat. Yep. Just use AOS dudes as cultists. Yeah, so my army was is Egyptian themed, so it's all mummies and stuff, and so all my cultists were like Tomb King skeletons that I gave lasguns, which I loved. I love those little fuckers. Unfortunately, it seems like they will not be useful anymore though, which is sad. But I have all the rubrics and stuff, so that's good. Apparently the zero CP to manipulation. Well, thank you. Great. That's good to know. God damn it. Gonna be enhancement to patch the ritual on an 11 to gain a CP if it rains on a Friday. All right. Indeed. All right, chat. So that's all that I have to talk about so far. I will I'll make this document public. I'll put this in the video description so that people can read it if they want to, or they could watch the stream to watch me update it in real time as people message me stuff. But that's what I got going on so far. It just definitely doesn't seem like it's on the level of Death Guard, but it feels like it could be very strong. Like regular Rubric Marines, their like base gun is AP2 ignore cover, and if they're in a Rhino, which they probably should be because Rhinos are amazing, they're +1 to hit and wound potentially, or their attached characters +1 to hit and wound, who can be pretty strong. So like a million attacks. At +3, like 9 attacks, sustain 3, and with rerolls still baked in. Like the baseline rubric stuff seems as good, if not better, than index version. Especially because you're going to be able to do stuff like you can do a lot of the old chicanery that you did previously, like with reserves. You can do with Rhino, so you can be like, I'll move a Rhino, disembark, temporal surge that unit into range to like blow people away. So I don't know. It feels like it becomes more of a Rhino thing, but that's also how all the Chaos Codexes have gone so far. It's just like, hey, buy Rhinos, please. I don't know why they have this excess of Rhino stock that they're trying to move, because it feels like Rhinos are like the most sold thing ever. But I guess just buy Rhinos, which is good. I have 2,000 painted thousands of Rhinos, so I'm ready to go. I'm prepared. The Sekhetar Robots seem really good. We'll see if like 40 points model is a little bit expensive, but a solid infiltrator seems good with free Overwatch. Also seems amazing. Tzaangors, like just kind of like auto include utility, which also seems great. So, and then I'm excited to hear what these detachments do. I'm a little bit suspect of the vehicle detachment. That's one that I was hoping to be good. But it sounds like it might be like it's like an Ironstorm reroll with extra steps that only vehicles get and also debuffs them. All right. I don't know if that's it. That's quite it, fam. This mutant detachment seems great. The other stuff, like worst case scenario, we have the index like detachment to get. Like retain your bonuses on your psychic weapons. So I don't know. I am interested. No mention of objective secured anywhere. I think most factions don't have objective secured. Very limited access to it. I don't know if you necessarily need objective secured. Like a bunch of factions don't have it like at all, right? I'm trying to think. I guess most of them do nowadays. Like Custodes have no obsec, right? I guess like Knights have it through enhancements. Tyranids don't have it at all. Orcs don't have it. Yeah, there's a bunch of factions that have obsec. So I don't know. I don't think it's necessary that every faction gets obsec all the time. Oh, but there was that strat. They talked about a strat. Just kidding. This one. They actually did talk about it. So this detachment has obsec for a CP. Boosh. Orcs have it? Oh, fucking orc boys have it. Fucking duh. No, just kidding. Orcs do have it. I just I'm so used to seeing like Tactical Brigade with a million like beast snagga boys and shit. I totally forgot that regular orcs do it. Yeah. Forget. Orcs do it. Of course Tyranids don't have it. Yeah, because Tyranids bad. It's a tactical tortoise stream. We have to complain about Tyranids for a little bit. Hexwarp has all the strats you want, but can't get in call. Yeah, maybe Hexwarp Thrallband's like actually legit, right? Well, let's take a peek. Let's not look through my whole desktop. Let's go to Hexwarp Thrallband. We'll take a look at the one detachment that we know is going to be retained. So you have the flow of magic mechanic. You reroll wound rolls of 1 on psychic weapons. And you get +1 if you are wholly within flow of magic, which like you can source elsewhere. Although you will likely get it on Daemon Princes, which is pretty really reliable, I guess. Especially if you can 6-inch deep strike your Daemon Princes, then charge with them. It's actually kind of sweet. And then you also get, you can use the it's the Empiric Onslaught +3 to attack characteristics of ranged psychic weapons. +1 strength to psychic weapons. Yeah, I don't know. I guess it depends a lot on what actually gets psychic keyword, I guess. You have obsec, fight on death, which is kind of whatever. Fallback, shoot, and charge, always good. Scarab will call Terminators, which we didn't really get any information for. And you get ignore cover on stuff, but you're gonna get ignore cover on your basic dudes anyway. So yeah, actually, I'm not sure. Maybe I'm wrong. Hexwarp Thrallband still seems kind of whatever. It seems like there's a lot of this stuff in Hexwarp Thrallband is like available elsewhere in the faction, like just on data sheets. So at least according to these. So I don't know. It is what it is. Like Demon Prince melee psychic? I believe it is currently, right? The Thousand Suns Demon Princes are psychic melee. Yeah, because they get buffed by Magnus's aura currently. So obviously not confirmed whether or not that's going to survive, but that's how it has worked previously. So I would imagine that that's how it continues to work. How likely are these leaks to be legit? So they've just been corroborated by 2 separate people for the most part. So I would say the grain of salt that, or the heaping mound of salt that I would advise you to take this with is a little bit slightly smaller than normal, but I would say still pretty big. Yeah, not their range. Yeah, it's weird because their range is like buffed. It's 6 shots because that's the bonus for Tzeangors Demon Princes, but it's not a psychic effect. They just have like an extra gun, I guess, which is a little bit strange. And that's the one situation where you would wish their gun to be psychic, because then it would get all the buffs from the things. Playing, I guess it's maybe different, but playing Emperor's Children, those silly little guns actually occasionally do some damage. But I think that's largely because they can advance and shoot them, so they get around like weird stuff. We really would have full stream without no Tyranid rant, yeah. Every once in a while, YouTube like serves me up one of my own VODs from 9th edition, and like watching, like, not just like watch it to like relive how fun Tyranids were. Like cast a bunch of spells, like stack bonuses, do advance and charge, like do hokey combat move stuff. Oh, blow a tank up with a artifacts. Let's go. No longer. Now we get one shot by Nemesis Dread Knights. If you know, you know. So anyway, chats, I think that's all I have to talk about today. I'm glad that we were able to sort of salvage this live stream. I was like heartbroken when my notes didn't save. But big shout out to Ricochet in Discord who had this document saved, and then shout out as well to the people who are messaging me rumors and stuff as well, who I will keep secret for now. And yeah, that's all I got, I think. Depending on how I feel, I might be live on Twitch later this evening. It depends entirely on how my nap goes, but obviously, as you can hear, my voice is shot from just an hour of stream. But I have a contractual obligation to Hippie Hunter from the Discord to play Mass Corn Berserker World Eaters on stream, and also I kind of want to play World Eaters like normally and see how they do, because I feel like that Codex seems fun. So I might be live later this evening. I can't confirm. Otherwise, we have a finals game scheduled on Sunday. That will be going up in the calendar momentarily, so I'll be live then on Twitch, and I'll be back obviously on Monday and Tuesday for the regularly scheduled weekday shows. So with that, folks, I'm going to go ahead and wrap up. Thanks for watching, everybody. And if you are looking for this document, I will paste it in the description or the pinned comment. I'll probably edit it for clarity a little bit, and then I'll paste it up. So stay tuned for that. Thanks, everyone, for watching. Keep it classy, folks. Have happy wargaming, all that stuff, and I'll see you in the next one. Cheers, everybody.